What's up, everybody? I hope y'all are having a wonderful day. I'm Anthony. On today's video, I got a question. How many of y'all are CPR certified? So yeah, I'm asking, how many of y'all are CPR certified? Now, this is a legitimate question, and there are many reasons why I'm actually asking this, to which I will get into in a second, but it's just a little food for thought because this is one of those trainings out there that's accessible to everyone, but it takes a little bit of initiative to get. So if you don't have it, you got to ask yourself why. Now, for those of you who have been around this channel for any length of time, you know that I'm real big into self-reliance and general preparedness. So that means like being prepared for things that you're probably going to see at some point in your life, whether that be inclement weather, whether that be job loss, or in this case, first aid. So I'm not going to sit here and ask you a whole big scenario tree about what ifs, but seriously, what happens if you're at like a family get together and grandma, boom, goes down with a cardiac arrest? What's going to happen? How many people in your family are actually certified in CPR to handle that? Now, I know for my family, it's only me, my mom, my stepmom, and my mother-in-law. We're the only ones that actually have or had a CPR certification at some point in our lives. And I'm going to be completely honest, the last time I got my certification was in 2008 when I was stationed down in Pensacola, because way back when I was still in the military, and I was on barracks support in Pensacola, Florida, and they basically asked us, hey, do you want to volunteer for this? Do you want to volunteer for this? Because essentially we were just waiting to class up. So it was either volunteer for something or go clean something, because that's what a PFC is, perfect for cleaning. So most of us, so we had a brain, we're like, hey, yeah, I'll volunteer for whatever. So we would go to the museum and clean, like refurbish aircraft, or we would go get our Humvee license, which I did, or I was lucky enough at one point to get a combat medic class that taught me CPR. So this was back in 2008. Guess how many times I've used that training since then? 0. I've never had to administer CPR to anyone. So if you don't practice something, or if you haven't done it in over a decade, do you think I'd be any good at it? Probably not. Now, way back in 2008, they did not have AEDs on every single corner like they do now. For those of you who don't know what an AED is, it's basically a defibrillator, all right? It's what shocks your heart back into rhythm. So back then, there's only AEDs in places like, operating rooms and emergency rooms. You didn't see them on every corner like you do now. I mean, I've seen them at Walmart, I've seen them at office buildings. Hell, there's even one at CarMax in my break room. We all saw it, we never knew how to use it, but we all saw it was there. So they are more commonplace now. So when you get your training these days, they throw AED in there because it is so important. Now, one of the main reasons why I'm bringing it up on this channel is, for several reasons, but the main purpose is a lot of us in this community like to concealed carry. Now, keep in mind, I'm the biggest fan of concealed carry. You can actually look at my most popular video. It's of my concealed carry story, the one time I actually needed to use it. But when we carry a weapon, we are subconsciously telling ourselves, I'm prepared to take a life to save a life. All right? So whether that be saving your own life, saving someone's life close to you, whatever, you are prepared to take a life to save a life. But how many people out there are walking outside their house every single day with the mindset, if I have an opportunity, I'm going to save a life? This is one of those things I never really considered until I took this class. Hey, I need to be prepared to save a life at any point, not just involving a weapon. So that's why I really wanted to take this course. Now, obviously, because we're in a pandemic, taking courses and stuff like that is kind of hit or miss, but I was able to sign up for a class with the American Red Cross, and we were able to get in, me and my wife, pretty quickly. It was only about a month and some change wait to get this class. Now, I can't speak for all states, but my state had it in the state capital, so I only had to drive about an hour to actually get this training. Training was led by a nurse who's been doing it for decades, and she started the whole class off with a very important question, or actually a comment. Basically, she used the unfortunate news that her younger brother passed from a cardiac arrest because when he went down, no one in his family, in his household, knew how to give CPR. So there he is with a sister who actually teaches the stuff. She's not around, and he goes down and ultimately dies because no one in his household knew how to give CPR. So that story basically reaffirmed why we were taking the class. It was a really good idea. Hey, you know what? We need to make sure that we are first aid, CPR, and AED certified. And because we have a 1-year-old, we went ahead and took the pediatrics course as well, because we probably will need that at some point. Hopefully we don't, but if we do, I'll be glad we had it. So we got up really early in the morning on a Saturday, which I do anyway because I got the kid, and got my mom to babysit. We went off and took our class. It went from 9 to 3, and there's only 4 of us in there, surprisingly. So it was me and my wife and a girl who's getting her babysitting CPR certification so she could babysit, and her mother. So it was a very small class, and it was very condensed. It was one of those things where we could basically get one-on-one if we needed to get us really up to speed on what we were doing. So when we first walk into class, obviously we see the dummy, and we know, okay, the first thing we're going to hit is CPR, which I'm very glad we did, because cardiac arrest, I had no idea how much more in depth it was versus taking a military course. Because the military course, obviously, the only thing we're talking about is the battlefield. Hey, you know, certain things happen, make the heart stop, whatever. But in the regular everyday life, you got to deal with older folks who could potentially go into a cardiac event, or even kids if they choke or get electrocuted or something like that. So this is very important training. And again, I guess I was more or less ignorant because I hadn't taken a civilian CPR course. So that's the first thing we hit, was cardiac, symptom of cardiac arrest and heart attacks. We really hammered it hard. We did our CPR on the dummy, and then after the first break, we jumped into the AED, which looks like this. Once we got real comfortable with the AED, then we jumped into doing it on a child or infant, which is a whole another thing. Now, in order to get out of the NICU, we had to take a course, a little class basically to show us how to do CPR and choking, but all they did was just show us the video. We didn't get tested, we didn't have any prac app, whatever. But on this class, we did all that. We did a prac app, and she watched us do it. So I felt so much more comfortable if something happened with my kid, be able to administer CPR or choking, if she was choking. So I'm very glad I took this class. Now after the break, or after lunch break, we came back in and we started to get into first aid, the actual first aid portion of it. And a lot of the stuff was just a refresher for me because, again, I learned it in the combat course. But there was 2 things that we also did prac app, and one of those was being the Heimlich maneuver. Now, I had never done the Heimlich maneuver. Only thing I had seen was what I saw on TV. So being able to actually do that on my wife was kind of funny. She did it on me too. Was great because I'm actually, you know, hey, scooping ice cream, that kind of thing. Never knew. I'm glad I got it. And finally, we ended it with a prac app on how to administer a pressure bandage on a child. Now, I'd given myself bandages all over because I work on cars, work on helicopters, I'm constantly cutting myself. But being able to do it on a child, obviously it was a fake, you know, it was a dummy, but still being able to administer all that on a child, again, will only help me if I ever need to use that. So this training was one of those things where I'm very glad I did it. It only cost me $106 per person, so $212 for me and my wife, and it only took an afternoon. I hope if you have the opportunity, if you are not certified, or even if you are and it's lapsed, you go back in and take this training, because it will only help you at some point in your life. I know it will. So I'm glad I took it. I'm glad that we got that check in the box. I have proof of it right here. So to summarize, I think the entire purpose of this video was not necessarily to gloat, hey, I got my cert, but to be like, you know what, I guess I didn't realize the complexity of the training until I took it. I was ignorant, and now I'm not so ignorant because I took the course. So if I can do one thing with my platform, it's going to be, hey, go get your training, because that one person in your household that has it could potentially save even your life. So if you can get multiple people in the household, both parents, whoever, to take this, it's only going to be better for you. And if you are walking outside every single day with a pistol on your hip, you need to be prepared to save a life as much as you're prepared to take a life. So hey, take that as you will. But if you learned something from the video, please do me a humongous favor. Oh, I definitely want to make sure I put down in the description below the link to the Red Cross website so you can find a class. That way you can find whatever class in your area. What I took was the adult and pediatric first aid, CPR, and AED course. You can take just the adult if you want to. It's actually a little bit cheaper, but again, that link will be down below so you can check out the classes in your area. But again, if you learned something from this video, please do me a humongous favor and give me a thumbs up. It helps me out. Subscribe on the channel if you haven't, and I'll catch you later, okay?